We are live.
You're muted.
Yep. Good morning, everyone. I'm Sage Turner, Chair of the Housing and Community Development Committee. I'd like to welcome you to the March 19th remote meeting. All council members and staff are participating virtually today. For those of you out there with us today, welcome. To help our audience follow along, I'll be stating each section of the agenda as we proceed. We are streaming live on our Virtual Engagement Hub, which is accessible through the Virtual Engagement Hub link on the front page of the city's website. We also have an option for the public to listen live by phone. That number is 855-925-2801. The meeting code is 9791. We also have an option today for people to call in and comment live during the meeting. To do so, you'll use that same phone number, which is 855-925-2801 and meeting code 9791. Your phone will be muted and you'll hear the meeting live, but you will need to push *3 to enter the speaker queue. That's *3. Okay, I'm going to go through a quick roll call. Committee members and staff, as your name is called, could you please come off mute and say a quick hello? Councilwoman Antoinette Mosley.
Good morning.
Councilwoman Shanika Smith.
Good morning.
Assistant City Manager Rachel Wood.
Good morning.
Do we have, City Attorney Brad Branham.
Good morning, everyone.
Community Economic Development Director Nikki Reed.
Good morning.
Affordable Housing Officer Sasha Bertinsky.
Good morning.
Community Development Division Manager Dennis Newbern.
Good morning.
And I understand Dennis will introduce a couple new staff as we get to that point. All right, so we are going to move right to our agenda. We have 3 items on the agenda today. Most of it is information sharing. The first item is the approval of the minutes from February 20th. Any changes or amendments? And if not, may I get a motion?
I move that the minutes be approved. Second.
Okay, and we're virtual, so we'll do a roll call vote every time. Councilwoman Mosley?
Aye.
Councilwoman Smith?
Aye.
Myself, Sage, aye. All right, we are moving swiftly into number 2, Housing Trust Fund application reviews, and Sasha is going to lead us and perhaps introduce a new employee.
Yes, thank you, Councilwoman Turner. I'm Sasha Bertinsky, Affordable Housing Officer, and I did want to introduce Alex Ruiz, who's new to our office. Today is his second day, so
Good morning.
so he will be listening to the meeting, and he's our new affordable housing specialist. Hunter Spitzer, who most of you knew, decided to pursue a career in solar development, so we wish him luck. And Alex comes to us from the Housing Authority and brings lots of experience and knowledge around housing. So yes, I'm here to give you a summary of the Housing Trust Fund applications that were made in this cycle. Next. A few key takeaways and reminders for folks out there. The Housing Trust Fund was established in 2000 to provide loans to assist with the construction of affordable housing units. And starting in fiscal year 2024, last year, we reestablished an application cycle that's aligned with Buncombe County's funding process to assist in decision-making and provide more predictability to the development community. We are currently reviewing applications for the fiscal year 25 funding cycle. We received 7 applications at the end of January, a total of 9.8 million in requests. We have 4.2 million available for these loans, and we will be bringing forward funding recommendations for your consideration at your April meeting. And then following that, we will be coming to City Council for approval of those of whatever we or HCD recommends. Next. So just very quickly, this is our schedule. We released the RFP in December and gave folks about 6 weeks for that. And here we are for HCD overview and then the April meetings. Next. And then lastly, just a quick reminder of eligible activities under the Housing Trust Funds. It can be used for acquiring new property, construction of new housing for sale or rental, conversion of existing non-residential structures, purchase and rehabilitation of substandard multifamily units, and then purchase and rehab of or conversion of market rate multifamily units, and then manufactured housing or modular construction, and then down payment assistance loans. Next. So just really briefly, 7 applications, 6 are eligible for funding, which is a total of 9.1 million. 260 proposed rental units, and we'll go through all the projects. 2 of them are low-income housing tax credit projects. The average subsidy being requested is around $34,000 a unit, and then we have 2 down payment assistance requests. Next. And this is just an overview table. I won't go through all of it because we'll be going through each project. So that's at a snapshot and for your reference to come back to. Next. You could keep going, Katie. So first, this is called Rowers Affordable. It's on Pine Lane. This is just off Brevard Road, north of where like Toyota is by the outlet malls. So it's to the west there on the map. You can see that's I-26. They are requesting 3.9 million for 126 units at 60% AMI. This is a 4% low-income housing tax credit project. So that means they get less equity than a 9% project. So a lot of the projects you all have seen in the last year or 2 have mostly been 9%, where they're getting more equity from tax credits. 30-year loan term, 2% interest, and 30 years of affordability. And their request to us is 8.5% of total development costs per unit. We have a cap in our policy of 10%. They will be required to have a conditional zoning, and they are working on their tax credit application and that conditional zoning right now in process. They do have 1, 2, 3, and 4 bedroom units. I think the number of 4 bedrooms is something around 20 some, which is a pretty good number. And there's a good number of 1 bedrooms as well. And they have also, I didn't put on this slide, but they have also requested money from Buncombe County. So next. Overlook 157. Now this is a project you all have seen several times as a conditional zoning and as a Luigi. So I think, so they're requesting $2 million. It's just on Leicester Highway in West Asheville, 72 units at 80% AMI. They are asking for a 3-year loan term at 2% interest for 8 years of affordability. So they have partnered with Enterprise, not the folks we're working with, a different branch of Enterprise as an equity partner. Their request is just under 10% at 9.45% of total unit cost. And that's just for the affordable units. So this project is actually bigger than the 72 units, but 72 of them will be held as affordable. So their CZ has been approved. And, you know, I think they have most of their permits. They have a Luigi grant approved. So for 29 units for 20 years. So I think 29 of the units will be affordable for 20 years, and those are included in that 72 units, if that makes sense. And these are 1 and 2 bedroom units. This is senior housing, as I recall. So next. Star Point, 16 Restaurant Court, you all have seen before a couple of times. They are requesting 1.5 million. They're just off of Tunnel Road, right there near the, if you know where lots are, the realtor's office is just adjacent to that site. This is a 9% tax credit project, 60 units at 60% AMI and below, actually. So it's not just an average of 60%, 60% and below. 20% of the units will be dedicated to youth aging out of the foster care system. I remember, I think you all remember talking about that. They're pursuing with the Housing Authority some new vouchers that our community hasn't used before, called FYI vouchers. They're looking for a 40-year loan at 0% interest for 40 years of affordability. You all approved a loan for $850,000 for their land acquisition back in, I believe, August of 22. And that turned around pretty fast and they acquired that land soon after that. So the total investment after with that 850,000 plus the 1.5 would be 2.35 million. It would be 14.6% of the cost per unit. Now, they have also requested 1.5 million from Buncombe County, and they are not looking for 3 million total. They're looking for 1.5. So city staff and Buncombe County staff will be in discussions about possibly how does that get split between two governments. I mean, I can't speak for Buncombe County, but it's possible that this request we may work something out. So maybe a little less.
Let me interrupt briefly. Are you suggesting that it could be end up splitting as low as 750,000? Did I hear that correctly?
Right, or even because Buncombe County has 500,000 in the project already, so they have less than we do. So
Okay.
it could be that we actually they put in a little more and we put in a little less to make it even.
Okay.
Again, no guarantees at this point.
Okay.
And it is 1 and 2 bedroom units. I should ask, are there any questions? I think that's the last. No, it's not the last one. I'll do this next one. And then if you have any questions about the rental projects. So we have a new nonprofit called Hospitality Houses. And this is a mission-driven nonprofit. And they are looking to do supportive housing for folks coming out of, I believe, substance abuse programs, or where they need a transitional place to live before they can enter the regular market. So the idea here is to build ADUs behind homeowners' houses, and at a very low cost, and to support them with services and even a relationship with that homeowner for a year or two before until they're ready to move out. So they're asking for, they have one under construction right now, but they're asking for 40,000 to support 2 more in 2 other locations, a 3-year loan term at 2% interest for 10 years of affordability. Now, this bullet I have discovered is not correct. The request is not 100% of the unit cost. So these units cost something like 80,000 a piece. So they're asking for 20,000 per unit. They have in-kind services and materials, but they also they've raised money. They're raising money right now from foundations and private donations. So we are not being asked to support it 100%. I think we're looking at it as a pilot project, as a new model of housing. And they are also working with a nonprofit to provide those supportive services. So those are the 4 rental projects. If I can stop here for questions if you like.
Councilwoman Smith, did you have questions? Go ahead. Oh, it looks like you were prepping. Councilwoman Mosley, any questions?
I feel like I should have questions about that last one. Can you go back to the last slide? So it remains under ownership of the property owner, the homeowner.
Actually, I didn't explain that. I'm sorry. So the nonprofit holds a ground lease, and I think at the end of the 10 years, it does go to the property owner. So they don't own it until the end of the 10 years is up, if that makes sense.
But it ends up being something. Okay. So the nonprofit pays for the rental in the back of the home. Mm-hmm. The homeowner agrees to rent that unit for a period of 10 years, after which the homeowner is 100% the owner of the ADUs that the organization pays $20,000 of the $80,000 to build.
No, the organization will pay that full $80,000 to build it.
Okay.
So
they're asking us to pay that 20, yeah.
Yeah, so this
is interesting.
Yeah,
it's similar to the model out in California. I don't know that it was tied to any kind of additional purpose other than building units out there, but this is the finance crux. It's really hard to get You can't get a loan for an ADU unless you are refinancing your existing house and there's significant equity, or you have cash and you can just add it to your asset. So it's been like a little bit of a financing conundrum. And I saw there's been some effort federally around this, but nothing has come to fruition yet. But in California, they have a program that does this. It's a nonprofit. They do the grounds lease idea, and it's worked. So it's interesting.
How do taxes work?
Go ahead.
How do taxes work?
How do taxes work? Well, I guess if the property tax increase, so
Is it a nonprofit and thereby no taxes?
right. Well, it seems like it would still, it's a grounds lease, so the owner still owns the land. I'm not sure. That's a good question for how Buncombe County would do that.
Yeah, I will investigate that.
The land increase, I would say, is taxed by the homeowner, and maybe they work out a deal in their contract that an increase in the, because the structure on the property would be identified differently on the property tax record. So it should have its own separate structure value. We'll see. Interesting. Okay. And then this is really only 20% of the cost, not 100%, but our cap is 10%.
Right. And I will say they modeled this off of a program in the Twin Cities area. And I think, which is similar to the idea, putting it in homeowners' backyards. What they've added is the supportive services part. And also what I'm not explaining very well is that the homeowner would have a relationship and an obligation to that family living in that unit. It's not like they would just be this kind of cold renter landlord relationship, but they're also part of that support network for that family.
Interesting.
Possibly sharing meals with them. I'm not sure where that, how that ended up, but Councilwoman Mosley, did you have?
Actually, I had a question about an earlier one, but go ahead and do this one. Or just a thought. So I believe it was the MHO one where we're talking about potentially going 50-50. In your negotiations, keep in mind that the city pays, I think, about 42% of the county's revenue, if that helps you in your negotiation.
Okay. I think I will just tell you all that both the city and the county are in similar positions where we got way more requests than we have money. So just not that matters, but we're both in similar positions. All right, Katie, we could go to the down payment assistance.
Well, one more question.
Sure.
I just want to make sure I heard that right with the first one, the rowers affordable, that approximately 20 of the units are 4-bedroom?
I believe, yes, I believe so.
I don't think we've seen that before. That's really intriguing. Okay.
It may be
And also an $80,000 ADU in the ground and built and everything is pretty remarkable in itself. That's low. Okay, thank you.
Sure. So we have 2 down payment assistance applications. The first one I'll discuss is the Habitat for Humanity one. They're asking for $146,000 for homes scattered throughout the city, dedicated to serve families below 60% AMI. It's a 3-year contract. It shouldn't say long-term exactly, but for 0% interest for 30 years of affordability. Habitat will rehabilitate 4 homes and then sell them to qualified home buyers. Our money will be used for down payment assistance for those 4 homes and reducing the home buyer's mortgage. We did this previously for the 8 scattered sites project that was approved before the pandemic. And I've been a part of at least a couple of closings in this process. So we loan the money up front and they rehabilitate the home. And then, a certain portion of that money will stay with the home. So if it's $40,000, for that home buyer stays with the home. And then there's basically an agreement between the homeowner and the city that when they sell their home, that they'll repay that. So it's in the future, but it's like a silent second mortgage in a way.
Sasha, is there any shared appreciation?
I don't think so, no. So we can go to the next one, Katie. So MHO has also applied for down payment assistance. They're looking for $1.5 million to be spent over 5 years. Scattered sites within the city. dedicated to serve families below 80% of AMI, 40-year loan term, 0% interest for 10 years of affordability, approximately $40,000 per home, and they're aiming to serve 25 homes. And they have been tracking their data with their down payment assistance program, and generally their beneficiaries, or a majority, are BIPOC homeowners. So, are there any questions about those?
I have one. Can you talk to us a little bit? So looking at the first one, it's a 3-year loan term. Second one is 40
It's not really a 3-year loan. That's a mistake. I'm sorry. So
Is it 30?
yeah, probably. Yeah. I
Okay.
mean, it really can stay with the home for a very long time. So yes.
Okay.
Okay. It's a 3-year contract, so they will complete this work within 4 years. 3 years, excuse me. They will have it done within 3 years.
Okay. Thanks. Any other questions on those while we have them up? No.
So just some next steps. We are working with TDA Consulting that has expertise in affordable housing finance, just on kind of the fine details of the financial analysis. We have a certain amount of expertise, but we wanted to bolster that a little bit. And we will be bringing back full recommendations to HCD and council in April. So, and that concludes my presentation. I guess I have the key takeaways again, but.
Well, it's an exciting round of applications from, you know, children aging out of foster care to seniors to housing down payment assistance. I mean, ADUs, like the whole bang in there. All the things we're trying to do. That's great. No other questions for me, Councilwoman? Okay, this is just an information only sharing agenda item. So we can wrap up number 2 on our agenda and move on to item number 3 for those of you following along and listening in. This is number 3, Community Development Block Grant Application Process. And we're going to have an update from Dennis and perhaps introduce his new staff. Thank you. Oh, Dennis, I think you're muted.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Next slide, Katie, please. So of importance this year, in this particular round of funding, we've received 13 applications for the CDBG program. At this point, 12 have been determined to be eligible for a total amount of $1.8 million in funding request, which is a lot more than the estimated $1.34 million that we expect to have for FY 24-25 funding. The vast majority of the applications, 9 were categorized under public services under the Community Development Block Grant Program, with the remaining being housing support services and public facilities. Part of the evaluation will note this year that there have been many of the applications that we've received have received funding over a period of at least 2 or 3 years or more under the Community Development Block Grant Program. Next slide. Just a quick summary of the applications that we've received. Obviously, the committee members, they have this information already. In terms of highlighting organizations, Fiscal Legal Services is seeking to continue their legal services for homeless prevention program by providing free legal services. The Spark Foundation has once again come in with a repeat funding request, as has On-Track Services for providing credit restoration services and home buyer assistance as well. YTL, I knew the initials of that name before I said it, so I forgot what it is, and I'll come back and tell you in a minute. But basically, they are new, at least this year. Homeward Bound and by IFB Solutions, you will have 2 proposals from IFB Solutions within your proposals. One categorizes the public services activity, and the second categorizes the public facilities and improvement project. So for a total of public services activities at $221,000. And if you recall, I have told you that the maximum that can be spent on public services activities is $155,222. So we'll be looking very closely at that in the next few days and providing some recommendations as I wait to hear back from you all about your recommendations as well. Next slide. The other category are non-public services activities. Repeat organizations under this category include Western Women's Business Community Center, as well as Mountain BizWorks, Helpmate, and Homeward Bound have all submitted proposals totaling $559,981. We're estimating that we could have under this category of non-public services activities about $672,000 that would be available. Next category. At the last meeting, I informed you that we also solicited proposals from city departments, and I'm very happy to report that there were 5 such that were submitted. Within the next few days, we'll be meeting with those departments and listening to and hearing from their organizations about their respective activities. Under this category, we will most likely recommend 1 or 2 activities that from a public facilities and improvement standpoint would stand to do an awful lot of good in their respective communities. We currently have a relationship with Stevens Lee to the tune of almost $1 million of activities that have gone on there in the last couple of years. So the same would happen most likely with these other 4 activities that have been proposed as well. Next slide. Again, 12 eligible at this point applications were received. The types of activities were public services activities, housing services, and public facilities. And now the important question. Yes, I need your stuff. I actually needed it a long time ago, but if at all possible, can we get it by next Tuesday, at the close of business? Lori and I are available to walk y'all through the process, the applications, and the scoring part. There are videos that are associated with every application, so I think they're very helpful. I've looked at all of them, but I would strongly encourage that you all take a look at them too and complete the part of the chart. And like I said, Lori and I will be available to guide you, help you through it, but we need it badly so we can go forward. Now, going forward means we will most likely come back to you in April with a series of recommendations, and they will be based upon your thoughts, management's thoughts, as well as the department thoughts. Our thoughts will be based primarily on from regulatory standpoint, along with other criteria that we think would be essential in making sound and prudent decisions towards funding activities. So the combination of the trifecta will help us to come to some conclusions this year about the highest and best use of block grant funds. The other thing is that the Congress, both houses have finally acted on funding for at least the CDBG program, or HUD programs, excuse me. So I'm hoping that within the next month or so, we will actually know what our numbers are going to be. I don't know at this point if they're going to be higher than what we received last year or lower. I always anticipate lower just in case, and our budget recommendations will basically reflect that. When we meet in April, we should have final numbers and we should have our recommendations ready to go. Are there any questions for me?
Councilwoman, any questions? Go ahead, Antoinette.
Is the ineligible applicant in our packet, or has it already been removed?
So there is one application in your packet that has not been removed that I have determined to be ineligible.
The one that doesn't have an audit attached?
No. I'm going to make a recommendation based upon consulting with their auditors that we go forward with them.
I was going to ask a similar question because I meant to on the first cycle too. What making folks ineligible? And if it's in the past, what we've seen sometimes is that there's an outlying issue we could do nothing with, but other times it's that they might need more assistance in how to do things. So is this a case of assistance would have helped?
No. Well, I say that, and let me walk that back. We did 3 public meetings prior to the application process to explain to folk that the process would be a little bit different than in previous iterations. We posted our manual online along with the application process to let folks know what we would be looking for. Anything that looks like, smells like maintenance is clearly ineligible under the block grant program. Fencing, parking lots, lighting, maintenance, ineligible. So yeah, in that respect, I feel like in some cases, the organizations, as you all are aware, put an awful lot of time in putting together an application. The least we could do on the front is to make certain that everybody understood clearly what we would be looking for, and we did that. So in that regard, you know, maybe they should have contacted us, or I don't know if they read the materials and misread, but that would be one example.
Okay, so I feel like I did see that somewhere in an application.
You did.
Okay, and now it's been removed.
It will be
Okay,
once you've gone through it, and then I will actually remove that.
okay.
Yeah.
Good to
Or
know.
once you all have gone through it.
And so, Councilwoman, we are being asked to ensure that we can complete what Dennis was talking about. And for those of you listening in, there is a neighborly software program that is new to the city. And we're all going in there individually and reviewing applications and scoring them. And so you're requesting that to be done by Tuesday for all of them?
I am.
Okay. Councilwoman, any problem with doing that? Are we okay with that deadline? You guys are good? And then if I understand correctly, we're going to come back and review that, and we'll see a recommendation. So we can't work on this together because it's going to come back to our committee for a vote, right?
So are you asking me if you all can get together and work on it together?
Well, I don't know that it's needed. I wanted to kind of make sure we're following the rules. I don't think we can if we're going to come back together.
Right.
Right. Okay.
But we are available, both Lori and I. We work, we'll work whenever it's best for you all. So if it's in the evening, if it's early in the morning, we'll make ourselves available.
Okay. I know I got a little confused in making sure, and I can follow up y'all individually just when I'm looking to score like number 7, but I'm not sure what number 7 is. Like I can't find it in the documents. Like I'm getting confused.
Okay.
But that, okay, everybody's nodding their heads like maybe I'm not alone in that. So I'll
Lori,
follow up with y'all.
Can we set a time perhaps individually to meet with y'all over the phone and go that way and answer your questions?
So Lori's our point. Okay.
Right, Lori's the point person.
Okay. If you drop us an email, Lori, I'll respond right to it with what I can do. And it might just be some emails back and forth. Like, what am I missing here? Why can't I find number 7?
That's fine.
Yeah. Okay. Awesome. Great. Any other questions for staff, Councilwoman? About the process or what's coming next? We have a lot of homework to do before now and Tuesday. And if not hearing any, then that concludes item number 3 on our agenda. And we have one left, which is public comment. Do we have anyone that has called in today?
1 second, let me reload to double check. We do not have anyone asking to speak.
Okay, well, we're getting really good at these meetings. It's just been 30 minutes. To the new staff, thank you for joining us. Welcome. And to everyone for participating, thank you for your time. And if there are no other questions, then we can go ahead and adjourn.
I see that Nikki has a hand
Oh,
raised.
I'm sorry, Nikki, go ahead.
Well, thank you. I just wanted to, yes, give a nod to our new staff and do just a quick round of introductions because we have a little bit of time. But I wanted to say welcome to Deborah Johnson. She is our Community Development Analyst 2. She's been working with us now for a few months. Just wanted to highlight her attendance here at this meeting, as well as Lori Moore, who's serving as our Community Development Analyst 1. So we are happy to have Lori on board. And then Kaylee Pulliam is our newest team member that has joined us, going to be focusing on home programs as well. So thanks for allowing us to do this quick round of introductions. Staffing's important. We have a lot of training that's underway this year for our new staff, but we're really happy to have the addition of these team members today. So thank you so much.
That's wonderful. A lot of good work being done. So clearly more staff will help. All right. Thank you, everyone, for your time. I hope you enjoy the rest of your day, and we are adjourned.